Am I the asshole for blowing up when I found that my husband recorded my therapy session? My 26F. Mom passed away in Dec. It was hard for me to process what happened. I have to say me and Mom had a lot of issues between us. There's so much that I couldn't say to her. And I'm struggling with grief. My dad is deceased. My mom was my remaining parent. And growing up I had many issues with her. I went no contact with her several times. Then I reconnected with her. Then we'd get into an argument again and the same thing happened. I feel bad for not trying enough to fix the situation. I keep getting shamed by family members asking if I'm happy now that my mom is gone, but how can someone be happy when their mother pass away? I'm a mess, plus I'm 5 months pregnant after 2 miscarriages and it's been difficult. I started therapy 2 weeks ago. It's online therapy. I go into the bedroom and I have my session with my therapist. I ask my husband to not come into the room or interrupt after he insisted he wanted to be in the room but wasn't allowed. He then started coming in several times, just barging in, brining me coffee or water, but I know it's a way for him to hear something. I got annoyed. I told him he was causing me so much stress and he stopped coming into the room. 2 days later, my husband stopped asking me questions all of a sudden. Stopped insisting on being in the room, stopped interrupting my sessions. I thought he finally got it. But yesterday as I was doing some cleaning, I heard my own voice coming from the bedroom. I was puzzled. I walked into the bedroom and found my husband with his phone on his ear listening to my voice. I then realized that he recorded my voice during my therapy session and was playing the recording. I asked him. He said it was nothing. Then he admitted it was a recording of my therapy session. I lost it. I blew up and I started yelling at him. He told me to calm down, it was no big deal. And that he was just curious to know and also wanted to figure out what my problem is and maybe help out. I told him it wasn't his place, and just because we're married doesn't mean he can disrespect me and be inconsiderate of my feelings. This is a very important thing to me, and he kept saying, I'm sorry, but I just couldn't help it. I was infuriated. There were things between my mom and I that I find hard to talk about, and I found what he did disrespectful. I walked out and he kept saying I overreacted and that he's not a stranger, he's my husband. I went to stay with my sister, who said I was harsh on him and shouldn't have reacted this way. He apologized and said he already deleted it. Even said that I can take a few days to stay with my sister to calm down after he saw how much I was mad. I should mention that he mentioned several times that he was worried about me because I haven't been talking to him much. And I understand he was worried, but that is not an excuse. Information: I'm sorry, I forgot to mention my husband's age. He's 31. Not the asshole. Location flag, location flag, location flag. Red flags here, red flags there, here, there, red flags everywhere. Location flag, location flag, location flag. Dot. Edit. Jesus Christ, people, I get that red flags are a stereotype on this sub, but does it really make me such a hive-minded fuck to point out a clear problem? I am not saying Op needs to break up with her, so I'm just saying this story indicates problems that need addressing. Not the asshole. Has he always been this controlling? Because maybe you should stop overlooking it. Not the asshole that is such a huge violation of your privacy. You wouldn't be wrong to never trust him again. Not the asshole. Find somewhere to stay with someone who will back you up that this is a hideous violation of the privacy that you should be able to expect in therapy, and reveals some deeply ugly things about your husband. If he truly can't resist the compulsion to interfere, then he needs to see a therapist to figure out why he can't handle not being involved in everything, or why he's so scared you might say negative things about him, or whatever's going on. But odds are he's perfectly capable of making choices that respect you, and just doesn't want to. I don't know how a couple can move past such a huge violation of trust. Not the asshole. He couldn't help it? I'd consider leaving him and saying, I'm sorry, but I just couldn't help it. Not the asshole. Edit. Also, I'm really sorry for your loss. Your husband is abusive. Not the asshole. Husband or not, that is a severe invasion of your privacy. I've had online therapy sessions that my fiancé has come home to me an absolute mess, and not once has he tried to pry about my sessions and only takes what I offer to him. This is absolutely disgusting, and I would be re-evaluating my relationship if this happened to me. Not the asshole. Not the asshole. Not the asshole. He violated your trust and boundaries in a huge way. Not the asshole. That's an extreme violation of your privacy. Everything about this is creepy and manipulative. The fact that he didn't properly apologize or admit to do anything wrong is genuinely horrifying. Not the asshole. That's an incredibly fucked up invasion of privacy, and it's a crime under both federal and state laws on recording a telecommunication without the consent of one or both parties. Never mind what your sister has to say, tell your therapist about this and ask what they think. Tell your therapist what he did. You did not overreact. Your sister unreacted in not being furious with you. Sounds like he is afraid you will say something he is not comfortable with your sharing to the therapist. He knows better. Just doesn't care. He too can help himself to not act like he has. Your therapist has a right to know he was recorded. I would not warn him you will tell what happened. Your therapist might have some good advice or suggestions with that. Your sister underreacted, as she should have been just as mad as you. None of my sisters would have ever told me I overreacted to bad spouse behavior. You confided in her and she judged you. If he wants to help you, give him a broom. NTA. Did I read that right? He recorded your therapy? Holy shitballs. Make sure you get a recording of him admitting to this so you can use it against him in your upcoming divorce. I am so sorry this happened to you. Not the asshole. This isn't a red flag, this is the thing the red flags warn you about. Tell your therapist about this. If you are in a position to leave him, at least consider it. Not the asshole. That's something I would divorce someone over. One of the most important aspects of therapy is having a safe place to talk about feelings that may be half-formed, not entirely fair to the other person, related to grief, etc. Privacy and a safe space to do that are critical. Your husband's behavior was disrespectful, controlling, and actively harmful to you because it very likely means you won't feel safe opening up in therapy, knowing he could be trying to invade that space at any time. I'm sorry. This is awful. Not the asshole. He couldn't help it? That's the most pitiful attempt at apology I've ever heard. NTA. I'd never trust him again. Could be extremely illegal to, depending on where you are. Unforgivable, 100% death to the marriage. Not the asshole. This is the most horrific violation of boundaries imaginable, bar physical violations. I cannot imagine how you could ever trust this person again. Also, this is likely illegal. You need to tell your therapist, of course, because their privacy was also violated. Not the asshole, and if he wants to find out what your problem is, he will find part of the answer by looking in a mirror. So, after repeatedly breaking all your boundaries, he is shocked that breaking your boundaries upsets you and, oh so graciously, said you can take a few days to stay with your sister to calm down. Oh, what a gracious master. Not the asshole. I cannot state how much of an asshole he is. He has no respect for you or your boundaries and claims that he couldn't help it mean that he will keep doing this until he finds a way to get away with it. This is divorce-level disrespect. Not the asshole. Frankly, I think you underreacted. Not the asshole. Yeah, you're going to want to divorce this person. Oh my God, not the asshole. That is such a horrible invasion of privacy, and he clearly doesn't respect your boundaries whatsoever. Not the asshole. Your therapy session is for you, not your husband. Someone needs to explain to your husband why this is not okay and how it's a massive violation of your privacy. Not the asshole. I would dump him as he clearly doesn't respect your privacy. What he did is abusive. NTA. He crossed boundaries and disrespected you, and that's surely a form of emotional abuse. What he did just can't be deemed right in a relationship. It was a breach of trust. He did it deliberately. And he is gaslighting you by downplaying it. I don't say this lightly, but I don't think my marriage would withstand this. I genuinely think I would leave. Not the asshole a million times over. I would not want to be near a person that does this. Not the asshole. Not the asshole. Dump the man, cut out that toxicity in your life and move on. I would have thrown him out on the streets the moment I found out he did that. Don't stay with someone like that. He clearly doesn't know the concept of boundaries and trust. Not the asshole. Your therapy session is private and not anyone's business but yours. If he wanted to help, he would support your boundaries and let you take the lead. Not the asshole. Your husband is trying to control you. Him saying that he wanted to listen in to see how to help is BS. Your therapist is there for help and that is why you see them. I think he is trying to find out if you are talking about him or even other family members. You need to figure out if you want to move forward in this relationship. At minimum, I suggest calling your therapist and letting them know about the recording incident because they might have in-person hours as well. Your therapist might want your husband to join for a session too. If you are unable to go to the office and decide to stay, I recommend changing your appointment time and taking sessions using your phone in the car alone so he isn't prepared to slip in a recording device. Not the asshole, I would have contacted my divorce lawyer immediately. That is not just a border he crossed. That's such blatant disrespect for you, such an invasion. I can't see a relationship recovering from this. Not the asshole. Your husband's behavior is a massive red flag that you need to take seriously. He completely disrespected your boundaries and your privacy and he isn't even taking responsibility for it. He keeps saying, "I couldn't help it," like it was a glass he accidentally broke instead of a decision he consciously planned out and executed without your consent. I'm so angry for you. Oh heels no, it's not a big deal, it's a huge deal. What an invasion of privacy. Not the asshole 3000. Not the asshole. I'm so sorry he invaded your privacy and betrayed your trust. Does he often try to do things like this? Have you mentioned this to your therapist? I really think you should bring this up specifically. Can you meet with your therapist on the phone in a car so you aren't in the house? Holy shit, this is a huge violation of trust. Not the asshole. Like, this would be a hill I'd die on. An obvious not the asshole. Like, how is this even a question? Of course he is in the wrong. I am a therapist. If my client told me this I would have an hour's worth of questions starting with, do you have an escape plan if needed? And #X200B. That is tremendous emotional abuse and his couldn't help it is pretty extreme manipulative behavior. Very much not the asshole. That is a huge violation of your privacy. ETA I'm sorry for your loss. Not the asshole. Your husband is abusive, one of those abusers that know very well how to disguise their controlling behaviors as genuine concern. Don't let him gaslight you, and don't stay in a relationship with someone who obviously doesn't respect you, your boundaries or your privacy. Not the asshole. Your husband is abusive, one of those abusers that know very well how to disguise their controlling behaviors as genuine concern. Don't let him gaslight you, and don't stay in a relationship with someone who obviously doesn't respect you, your boundaries or your privacy. Not the asshole. I would literally divorce any man who had the fucking audacity to record my therapy sessions and tried to tell me it was no big deal. He's a disgusting human being. Not the asshole. It's called client confidentiality for a reason. Not the asshole. No, no, no. This is so abusive and cruel. This isn't an accident or a misunderstanding, he is literally spying on you during private sessions between you and your therapist. I don't see how you could ever trust him again. Holy shit, not the asshole, not the asshole, not the asshole, not the asshole, your husband, dude, I just can't. I've been in therapy for going on 7 years and while it started out as marriage counseling, we now go alone with joint sessions when we need to. This is an absolute invasive of privacy and he has no defense. The one thing I question is that while you have this trauma you are working through, you should be taking steps to being able to talk to your husband about it. That should be part of the therapy IMHO. He's clearly desperate to be supportive and help you and you're blocking him out. I'm not defending his actions, just his concern for you. Maybe you could both benefit from a joint session? Not the asshole. He is going to be one of those parents snooping off your kid's phone. You deserve privacy and he is not entitled to listening to your therapy session. You, and the baby, deserve better. Not the asshole, and find a place where he can't record you when you call a divorce lawyer. Oh wow. Not the asshole. I couldn't help it is the excuse of abusers everywhere. He could help it. He chose not to. Not the asshole. And #X200B. What in God's name? My wife has regular therapy sessions and the thought of snooping, let alone recording her therapy sessions without her knowledge, doesn't even cross my mind. It sounds like he's apologetic and doesn't seem like he won't do it again, maybe. That's entirely up to you because he completely broke your trust. I'm so late to this party. But not the asshole. But please tell your therapist what your husband did. I'm a therapist. Let us validate you. Let us tell you when you deserve better in your relationships.